I'm gonna tell you my rating. I'm gonna tell you out of 10. Okay? Out of 10. Okay, warning, major spoilers are ahead for K-pop Demon Hunters, so either go watch the movie or you guys can go see my other review, which is completely spoiler free. That is already up on my channel. The link is right here and down below, so go check it out. But honestly, go watch the movie, bruh. It's good. What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to Shira's Hobbit Hole. Today, we're doing something a little bit different. I want to review a certain movie. I didn't think that this movie would actually be one of the best animated movies I've seen in the last 5 years. And I'm not trying to sugarcoat it. I'm not trying to be like, oh, because I like K-pop, I like this movie. Let me tell you, Sony Animation, they've upped their game. Okay? So today we're going to do a little review. Today we're going to go over what they did well, what maybe they didn't do so well on, and everything that I personally thought. Take everything I say with a grain of salt. This is just how I viewed the movie, how I thought about it, and as a new K-pop fan, how I thought they represented the K-pop community. Now, as we're going through this movie, I have written down so many notes. And I'm ready to spew them out. Before we actually get started on the full review, you guys, if it's your first visit here, I'm a new YouTuber here on YouTube. If you like, comment, or subscribe, I would greatly appreciate it. And if you want to go check out my channel for more content, I do K-pop reactions, anime reactions, and now I guess movie reviews. Right there, I also have a Instagram and a TikTok, so you guys can go find me there as well. Now, without further ado, let's get into it. First, the music. The music was fire. First of all, when I tell you I have been listening to the soundtrack for the last 24 hours, I've been listening to the soundtrack for the last 24 hours. And that, yo, my soda pop. A lot of the vocals in this movie were gorgeous. Rumi's voice actress, for her singing, I remember watching the movie and just thinking, she has Elsa's range. Like, she has Idina Menzel's range, and her full voice really, really enhanced every single song. Okay, so the song Your Idol, that was the last performance by the Saja Boys at the end of the movie. That song is very 80s coded, and I saw a lot of people comment that it reminded them of 80s. I think even the member with the red hair reminded them of a member from 80s himself, and I would have to 100% agree, only from listening to like Wonderland and Crazy Form from 80s. 100% I already see that as a possibility. As a newbie to K-pop myself, I have been dived into the K-pop community, what it's about, and loving arms that I feel like I've walked into. Now, how I think in terms of how Demon Hunters portrayed the K-pop community, I would have to agree that they were not wrong, right? The fans like to ship members together. The fans like, go crazy. But that's part of the community, and I think that they portrayed it pretty well. It's a little pushed, it's a little exaggerated, but that's what animation does. They exaggerate, they push. I honestly thought that they could have gone a terrible route and they chose not to, and I think that overall it really did showcase everything well. One thing I actually did enjoy was at the very beginning, in one of the first opening scenes of the movie, we have Rumi, Mira, and Zoe on the plane, and they are ready to eat their pre-show snacks. They're getting excited for their concert, to see their fans. They called their agent Bobby, and some of the fans grab the phone and say hi, and then they start crying, and then Rumi, Mira, and Zoe see the fans on the phone, and they start crying. So that was even a little tidbit to the K-pop community of how the idols treat their fans. It was very cute to see, like, oh, they really do connect with the fans just like a lot of other K-pop groups do. Overall, the whole view of the K-pop community and K-pop fan culture was really well shown and in a really nice light that I think a lot of people will hopefully appreciate. The plot. Now, the plot itself is actually quite simple. Demon hunters who've been hunting demons all their life, and then we see the demons come up with a plan to fight Huntrix and create their own boy group to fight them. So that itself, pretty simple. Rumi being a part demon complicates the entire plot, it makes it more intriguing, and it drags the viewers in to see what happens to her and how she's going to deal with fighting her own kind. But then we have Jinu. Jinu adds a third layer of depth where you see his internal conflict if he really wants to go through with this plan and destroy Huntrix. Now I want to get into the romance. I would like to say it's a fourth layer of the plot, because if you think of a normal romance movie, the whole plot is the romantic journey, right? So this is 4 layers of plot that they are now adding into this one film, and you really get to see the whole shebang. For those of you who don't know, I am an artist myself. I always love drawing fan art. I wanted to be in the character design industry for a little bit, so I always appreciate when a character design is done well. I want to point out 2 characters that I really think visually and personality wise stood out the most. And the first one is going to be Mira. It's important for her to have a personality and differentiality of the other characters, right? Because she's one of the main. Now, Mira visually stands out with her red hair, her outfit choices, and her personality. And if you can see her facial structure, if you look at her, you can already kind of tell what kind of personality she has. And that is exactly what a character design is supposed to be. When you look at a character, you not only see the outfit they're wearing and the hair color they have, but you immediately can pick and point out possible personality traits that they may have just by looking at them. And I really think that Mira stood out to me for those reasons, because when she came on screen, I already got a sense of what kind of character, what kind of personality traits she has. And then of course, when she started talking, they were all confirmed. Now, one of the characters I want to talk about that also stood out to me visually was Mystery. Mystery was one of the members of the Saja group. Now, the funny thing is, the majority of the movie, he didn't even talk. He didn't talk, he didn't say nothing, he was just kind of there, he performed this and that. Now, one thing, just visual wise, Mystery, and the name he's given, he is a mystery, he is an enigma. He has his hair covered over his face the entire portion of the film. That was a great design to have in the group, along with different types of members within the group to differentiate them. For the character designs, if you look at the Saja boys, their names kind of speak everything. So they definitely reference K-pop groups because their names say it all. One of them is Abs, Mystery, Romance, and Baby. And when you hear those names, it's literally similar tropes that you see from each members of K-pop groups, especially Baby. I immediately thought that that was Baby like Maknae that are in each group, the youngest member, so they just ended up calling him Baby. Stuff like that where it really does shine a light on the little reference points to the K-pop world. This portion is my favorite aspect of any film. If I tell you I love this movie, I love this show, I love this book, when they have this down, it's an amazing story. When they have character development, it's a good story. Character development is when you put a character in a scenario and they interact with the environment around them. As long as there is a change and understanding of why they are changing because of what happened to them, it really adds to the story because it sucks you in and it makes you think, what's going to happen to them next and how are they going to react? Within this story, I believe 2 characters had the best character development. And it's probably not a shock because it's the 2 characters who are meant to have the best character development because they are the main characters. We have Rumi and Jinu. Rumi has a very interesting story. She has internal conflict and external conflict. She has her internal conflicts that she was taught to never let her weakness show. Her patterns are also internal because nobody knows about them, so she's dealing with them internally. And there's also the burden of being the leader of the group. Her external problems are her losing her voice, maintaining the honeymoon, and fighting the Saja boys. So these three things are weighing her down. They are making her question who she is, making her question how she is viewed, and questioning if she has the ability to move on. This is a very common thing even in the real world. She is suffering from imposter syndrome. She keeps referring back to the same memory of her guardian telling her that her friends won't understand and to keep her weaknesses hidden. Towards the end of the film, Rumi is exposed and is forced to show herself in the light. She runs away once again and finds her guardian to finally confront her, not loving all of her. After her guardian said, and I quote, "I never thought it would be a child like you," Rumi decides to leave, and we see a change in her immediately as she arrives to take down Guima. She lost her ability to care about her image and finally accepts herself as she sings What It Sounds Like. Jinu's dealing with a different type of conflict, but if we look at how he was acting throughout the entire film, we can obviously notice that he wanted to be good from the start. In the very first fight sequence between the Saja boys and the Huntrix, we see Rumi and Jinu have a one-on-one fight. Rumi has her patterns exposed, and Jinu immediately notices that those are demon patterns and that she is a demon. He can visualize that she is scared. She looks at her friends, they're calling for her help, and she is frozen. He immediately picks up that the friends don't know about her and she doesn't know what to do, and he acts immediately, wraps her arm, and leaves. So this is already a character development trait that we're seeing in Jinu, and you can tell that he's already at conflict with himself, and he probably has been for quite some time. Now, one thing I want to note is Jinu's lie. Jinu lying to Rumi about his past, and he didn't want to tell her the truth out of fear of how she might judge him. He eventually tells her at the end of the film, but this is another point of character development. He now cares what she thinks. He now thinks, if she thinks badly about me, will she still help me? Will she still like me? Will I be deserving? So when he starts questioning those things about himself, you can see his character development start to rise and rise and rise. And eventually, towards the end of the film, we see him. Spoiler alert, this whole thing is a spoiler alert. I'm going to put it in the tag. At the end of the film, we see him make the ultimate sacrifice and finally give everything that he has for Rumi's sake. Now, I know a lot of you are probably thinking about why Jinu had to die. He did have to sacrifice himself, and he did have to attempt it to show his change, his character development. And of course, it's not fair, and it sucks that he did have to die, but I actually think that that made way more of an impact. If they had brought him back, I don't think that this movie would have had as much of a great impact as it has. And sometimes that's what the writers want. They want the viewers to be angry enough because that means that they actually cared and they want to see what happens next. Now, I'm not saying that there might be a sequel, but I really do believe that they will definitely come back around and we might see Jinu again. So don't worry. Don't worry. We'll see what happens. Not only was it entertaining and comedic, but the way that they interacted with each other really showed them more as sisters and showed their bond to be very tight knitted and well thought out. And the little tiny scenes are so adorable with the three of them, and it really makes them not so much as idols, but more as sisters and a beautiful friendship that has been going since they were young. The villains. Having good villains, damn, does it make a story good. It makes a story good. And if you think I'm wrong, get out of here, bro. Get out of here. These villains were top tier. So if we look at the Saja boys, clothing design. They put them in traditional Korean hanboks in their demon forms and made the design more unique and traditional rather than using some common demon tropes. And you see a lot of hanboks used in K-dramas, manhwa, and even see K-pop idols put the traditional clothes on from time to time. The costume designs are seriously top tier. Along with that, the villain archetype is shown as there is the villains, and then there's the more evil figure who has control over them. This is a very common use in storytelling to have an even more evil character overpowering the villains the heroes are dealing with. This allows the viewers to sympathize with the villain and make the character seem more humane rather than soulless. A great example of this is Loki from the Marvel Universe. So in K-pop Demon Hunters, Jinu and the Saja Boys aren't really the villains. It's Guima, like how Thanos was for Loki. I have one complaint, but we didn't get to see interaction between the Saja boys. We just saw them come into play with the Huntrix and performing, but we didn't really get to see the Saja boys like lounging, getting ready for a show. Something else they could have put in the film was having Jinu have conflict with the Saja boys. They started to see him with Rumi and they got frustrated and were like why are you out with this girl? What's going on? If they embedded that, it would have added another layer of depth, but I understand in an hour and 45-minute film, there's only so much you can do. A little scene about that would have been nice. Now I want to get into my favorite portion, which is the concept art for this film. I immediately looked up the concept artists and looked at their stuff because I always love to see where they started, what their first concepts are. Please go check out these artists because they work day and night on these things. They put their heart and soul, their creativity, and we really got to appreciate where the film came from and where the art and designs came from. These days, it's all 3D animation, and you never really get to see what they themselves made with their own hands in the pre-production process. So go check those people out. They have great stuff on their Instagrams and on their portfolios, so please go look at their stuff. Amazing work. And to be honest, there's one piece with Jinu and the Saja boys on a screen, and I really love the style of it. I would have loved to see that in the film. Now I want to get into the inspiration for these characters. Let's start with the Saja boys. Now, I read on an article, and I'm going to read it right here for you guys. It says the Saja boys, comprising members Jinu, Abby, Mystery, Romance, and Baby, were inspired by Korean groups such as Tomorrow, X, Together, BTS, Stray Kids, ATEEZ, Big Bang, and Monsta X. They say that Rumi, Mira, and Zoe, they looked at ITZY, Blackpink, and obviously Twice. And then Khan's main goal was that they all looked very different from each other, which they very much do. She focused on each of them having their distinct look aside from their hair color, which is 100% accurate. That's why I talked about Mira earlier and her sharp expressions, immediately telling you what type of character she is, along with Zoe with her very round face and round expressions, quirky smile, immediately tells you what kind of character she is. I know of Twice. I've known of Twice for the entirety time I've dived into K-pop. I haven't really listened to their stuff, but I know that they're from JYP Entertainment because of Stray Kids. So they wrote the songs Takedown and Strategy. Want to remember correctly, but I think Strategy played in the background. I don't think that they actually did the one on track. I think the only one on track that they had in the film was Strategy, and I believe Takedown was sung by the singers. But I want to adhere to Sony Pictures Animation for taking the extra step and taking the time to actually get Twice on board to contribute to this film, because I really think it makes it way more special. And if you didn't watch it, at the end of the film they showed a little clip of Twice singing Takedown, and it really just made everything so much better. Okay, so before I rate it myself, I'm going to tell you IMDb's rating, and then I'm going to tell you Rotten Tomatoes rating, and then I'm going to tell you my rating. IMDb says 7.9 out of 10. I would have loved it to be 8, but it's okay. Holy crap. You guys. Oh, the tomato meter is at 94%. And the audience, 95. Yo, people know what's good. People know what's good. And this movie, gorgeous. Absolutely amazing. The character development, the character designs, the plot structure, the internal conflicts, the romance, the action, the lore. They aced it. And on top of it, K-pop songs. How could it get any better than that? I'm gonna tell you my rating. I almost forgot to tell you my rating, and then the entire YouTube video would have been for naught. Would have been for nothing. I mean, seeing this, like, bruh, I need to give it a high score. I need out of 10, 9.3. And I'm a harsh rater. I'm a harsh rater. Okay, 9.3 out of 10. That's pretty freaking good. Pretty freaking good. I can't get better than that. Literally, it's just that one scene of the Saja boys. I just wanted one scene with the Saja boys like interacting, and it would have been 10, 10 out of 10. Would have been 10 out of 10. Okay? If you guys have your own theories, your own opinions, please let me know down in the comments below. I also want to know if you picked out any more K-pop references that I missed. Let me know down below. I'd love to go check that out. Thank you guys so much for watching, and please like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I'll see you on the next one. Bye. One more thing I wanted to say before you leave. Before you leave, don't leave. I mentioned earlier I'm an artist and I am making some fan art of K-pop Demon Hunters right now. So by the time this video is up, those should be up on my Instagram as well. Please go check that out. I'll put the link down below. It's also up on my channel, shirashopcreations, on Instagram. Go check me out. Go look at my fan art because I have a lot. Catch you in the next one, guys. Now you can leave. You can leave now. Why are you still here? Go. I think I'm gonna go watch the movie again.